Hey guys, it's Pt.1 again, and I'm back to do a review of a knife that I've been very excited about for a long time. I've had it. It's right here. I've had it for a couple of months now, and here's my review of it. This is the Emerson Horseman with a black coated blade and plain edge. And just a little aside, I hate combo edges. I will not buy a combo edge no matter what. I mean, even if it's like the perfect knife and it's really cheap, no combo edges. Period. That's just my little thing. Anyways, getting back to the knife. Getting this knife, getting this particular knife, actually required quite an amount of hardship on my part, and also personal suffering, if you will. And I'll explain that later. The knife before you is actually not the one I ordered from yourcornerstore.com for a very reasonable $110. I actually, well, this knife was $110, but I actually ordered a Kershaw Skyline, a second one, to go with my first, and also a Kershaw OBD1. Here's my original Skyline. The new one's still in the box. And this is the OBD1 frame lock. I'll have a review on this knife, a very positive review on this knife later. Okay. Yeah, another aside, I've seen a lot of, very high quality Kershaws lately, which is very good to see because, the knife market is not a huge market. So it's really good to see companies make good products because, you don't have that many choices. Alright, I got this knife. Let's talk about why I got this knife. I got this knife because I just love the design. It looks great. I mean, and the blade, this thing looks freaking awesome, I have to admit. And I've heard a lot of great things about Emerson from other people's reviews, and I also have to admit that I was taken in by the whole Ernest Emerson story and how his knives are prized by members of special operations and stuff like that. Just that all that macho BS. I don't know if all I don't know if that really makes this a better knife, but it sure is good marketing. And I personally love nicely textured G10, and I knew that all Emersons had really good G10. Also, I like how this knife looks like a little mini scimitar. Look at that blade shape, beautiful. Got that Emerson stamp on it. It says Horseman right here, and it says 2008. Wave feature, patent pending, whatever, and I believe that's a serial code. Also, yeah, it just really called out to me, and I knew the shape would be great for a self-defense or tactical, if you will, because this kind of blade shape is really good for slashing cuts, which I know, in any self-defense maneuver is really what you're going to be looking for, slashing cuts, not particularly stabbing attacks, but this does have a razor sharp point, or I don't know if you call that razor sharp, but a needle point right here. I like the swedged top end also, which I think only comes on the Emersons with 3 pocket screws, but I'm not too sure on that, so correct me if you have any other information. So yeah, and that's and all of that, and also the CQC8, which is the bigger version of the Horseman, is a prize by the SAS, which kind of got me all excited. So all those things contributed to me wanting to buy this knife. And it's all stuff that I saw on their website, but I have never really handled one before. And, this blade itself was the only one available from yourcornerstore.com at the time, and the price was really good. I did actually originally want a CQC8, which is a larger version, but I'm glad I got this instead because even though this is the mini version, this is a pretty big knife, and I have pretty small hands, and it's a handful, you know, fills up my hands. And so, and also it rides pretty big in the pocket as well. And I would just, you know, if I got the CQC8, it would have just been too big, I think. So, but this is, you know, big enough to get a really good grip on, but not too big. And even, you know, when I have a full grip on it, this bottom, you know, point is still exposed if you want to make a kind of a non-lethal attack with it. So all good points. Let's go over the specs. It's got a 3.5 inch blade, and overall it is 8.35 inches. So it's actually almost about the same size as my Rat 3 fixed blade. The black coating you see on the blade is something that's called Cerakote, and it's what people use to coat their headers with. It's a ceramic coating, and people coat their headers with it to keep the heat inside the headers instead of getting out and heating up everything around it. And you know, I think it's pretty tough. It's very slick. I can tell there's some kind of Teflon in it because it's a very slick finish, which is nice because it eliminates drag when you're cutting. It's a liner lock design, and I think the liner on the locking side is made out of titanium, but the literature on the website doesn't specify that. For some of the other knives, it says you know, titanium locking liner, but then for this one it doesn't. But when I took the knife apart, you can see that the locking edge is actually a little bit thicker than the other side, so it's, you know, it's a little bit bigger. But when I took them apart, the liner locking side actually felt a lot lighter, so I'm gonna assume it's titanium. If you look at it, it's got the wave feature, and the pocket clip is fixed in the tip up position because you need the tip up position to deploy the wave feature, so you don't have the option of moving it to the other side. And also if you notice, all the fasteners on the knife are standard. You know, you have Phillips and you have these, you know, regular screws instead of Torx bits. So that's a little nice option. I do have Torx bits, but I feel like they put too much pressure on the knife. So if you don't have hardened screws, I've had the Torx bit strip out the screws very easily, but I don't see that happening with these regular screws because, you know, there's less sides and they're also bigger. Each side is bigger, so it's harder to strip them out, which is very nice actually. I prefer it, but I do know that most people prefer Torx bits just because they look a little better, but for me personally, it doesn't really matter, I think. Okay. It's got a G10 backspacer, and the bushings in the pivot are Tetralon, I believe, which is it's a self-lubricating polymer, which is nice. It breaks in really well, and but I don't know how it compares with phosphor bushings, so whatever, doesn't matter, I think. First, let's go over some of the really good points of this knife. Like I said before, the G10 is almost perfectly textured for a good grip, and the handle is contoured in a way that you can get a really good grip on it one of two ways. You can get a good grip on it this way, which, you know, is the preferred hold on the knife if you're going to be making, you know, cuts, just, you know, cutting little things, or because it gives you better control over the knife. But as you can see here, the handle is contoured in a way so that each of your fingers actually has a place to go on the handle, and it gives you a very, very secure fit. And with the G10 and, you know, the little bit thicker handles, I feel like I could really put a lot of force on the handles without worrying about any failures. Also, if this knife is used in a self-defense format, you can bring your thumb down and get a really good grip on the knife this way for, you know, any slashing cuts.